Welcome back to your Valley Sports Plugs 2025 NFL Draft Power Hour. It is Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025. I'm your host, Chris Patrick, and we're here to break down and give you all the information you need to know about this draft coming up April 24th. That's going to be this Thursday, just 2 weeks away. I'm sorry, 2 days away. Goddamn. Excuse me, little rusty. Guys, it's been 363 days since we did our 2024 Draft Power Hour, and pretty much the same group. Got to introduce the fellas. We got my co-host, Mr. Mykel Benjamin, and Mr. T Jr. One Tallman out, so we had to have our one Tallman quota. But what's going on, fellas? How you feeling on this Tuesday night?
I was going to say it's the same intro. Chris, Tallman, how you guys doing? Some might say we traded out for the better Tallman, but hey, we're not going to tell him that.
I like that.
Some people would say that. Some people would say that.
I mean, he's living life. He's living life overseas. So
he's enjoying his
the
time across the pond. I know
man?
that he's feeling a little bit of FOMO. He said it a bunch of times before that he was going to be missing the draft, but we're going to have plenty of discussions when VSP Tallman comes back. But man, we're getting down to the end of the juicy time, I would say, for sports, right? You know, NBA playoffs are coming to a close. We're getting into the summer with baseball, but the NFL draft kind of really marks the last bit before we almost get into the summer droll, if I can say that. But man, I'm ready to break it down tonight with you fellas. But Mr. T Jr., how you doing tonight, man?
Good. Excited for the draft in the 3 to 4 days of some semi-excitement, a week of sitting there and maybe looking at regrets, maybe looking at things that shoulda, coulda, woulda, but man, I'm not excited for that summertime. I know it gets hot out here in Arizona and there's no sports on TV. But no, I'm excited. I'm sick of watching baseball already. So let's get football back. No, baseball's been good. Baseball's been fun. Now that I'm in fantasy baseball, losing really bad, but excited to talk some football.
No, I'm with you, man. I love baseball and the summer, but it is kind of sad. You know, you can say the NBA playoffs are happening, but when the Suns aren't in it, I'm far less invested. But there's been some good games. Apparently, your boy Ja Morant and Memphis are going to get bounced out in 4 games, so that's crazy. I mean, Oklahoma City's looking mighty impressive, but we're not here to talk about basketball. We're not here to talk about baseball. We're here to talk about the 2025 NFL draft. As I mentioned, it's not 2 weeks away. It's 2 days away. It's going to be this Thursday in Green Bay, Wisconsin, I think. Kind of an interesting location, but the Cardinals, your Arizona Cardinals, have currently the 16th pick in this NFL draft. And Mike and I were talking about it a bit before we kicked things off here, that this isn't a very star-studded draft this year. It's supposedly good for starters, guys got to fill in. It's not that there's no talent in this draft. There's just nobody that's going to wow you and blow you off the page. But we're going to take a look at some mock drafts, going to talk about some of the big names, probably the top 10 or so. Going to discuss what we think the Cardinals should do with that 16th pick. We're going to give you the VSP 5, the 5 players that we think the Arizona Cardinals should target with the 16th pick in this draft. Going to talk about the hometown. Is he a hometown kid? Well, he's from California, but he went to ASU. Cam Skattebo. Should the Cardinals draft him? Should they let him go? Should he be available later in the draft? And then overall, just discussing the draft strategy. But that's our loose game plan for you this evening. We'll go ahead and put those thumbnails in the description below shortly after we conclude this live stream. Every live stream we do here on YouTube is available for immediate playback right here on our YouTube channel. So make sure you like and subscribe so you can stay up to date, get all those notifications for when we're going live, and come back, listen to us on the playback. We also, next day, put all the audio up on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts, you can find Valley Sports Plug. And last, make sure you're following us at AZ_VSP on Instagram, X, TikTok, Threads, so much more, Facebook, Valley Sports Plug. Whew. All right, fellas, I've been doing enough rambling, so I want to hear you guys talk. Let's start at the top of the agenda here. The big names, the top 10 in the mocks. You got your Cameron Wards, quarterback from Miami, Travis Hunter, the wide receiver, cornerback out of Colorado, his teammate Shedeur Sanders, quarterback out of Colorado, Abdul Carter, Ashton Jeanty, Tyler Warren, and so much more. But who is standing out to you most? I guess starting with that number 1 pick, it's not really a consensus what the Titans are going to do, but I think a lot of people are leaning towards Cam Ward. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I got to jump in on this one. It seems like at least the betting sites are starting to lean a little bit more towards Cam Ward. I think it's still split in between Cam and obviously Travis Hunter, the incredible athlete, possibly the best athlete that we've seen in a decade plus coming out of college football. But, I think Cam Ward really cemented himself over some other guys within this class. He's a gunslinger with good size. He's got that big arm and mobility. He can read full fields, and he rips that sidearm rocket into tight windows, man. One of the things they're saying is he's probably going to need to adjust to disguise coverages on the pro level, but that happens for a lot of quarterbacks, right? There's always room to grow. But yeah, man, like I said, I got to touch on Travis Hunter for a second too. He's a big time player who makes big time plays, guys. I mean, there's a reason that he won the Heisman Trophy, but the big question still is, it sounds like they're leaning towards playing him at corner, right? But man, when you are that explosive of an athlete, I wonder how gadgety, whoever takes him is going to get with him, man, because he's just still so instinctive on the defensive end, with his anticipation with the man or zone, but he possesses that rare ball skill and that leaping ability. And it makes sense that they're leaning more towards him going corner because he got way better in 2024. But I mean, yeah, Chris, I got to echo what you said. Just there's few big name guys who you think will like dominate the league in the limelight for a long time here. But with that being said, I think there's going to be a lot of contributors still that make it through the top 10 in this draft.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm sure we all saw the letter Ashton Jeanty put out after all his workouts and everything, basically saying, if you draft me, I'm going to run through a wall for you. And you're going to see why I was one of the best running backs in college football the last 5-10 years, whatever. But my question, Cameron Ward, obviously fantastic talent, probably the best quarterback talent in this draft. Tennessee already has a quarterback in Will Levis that they just drafted about 2 seasons ago, granted with a 2nd-round pick. But Matt, what does that say to you if they decide to draft Cameron Ward? Would you expect Levis to be moved pretty swiftly?
No, I think Will Levis stays. But if I was the Titans, man, to pass up somebody like Travis Hunter is insane. This, like you guys let it off, like we said, it's not a very talent-driven draft this year. The skill positions are, we could say, lacking as far as usually there's 1 or 2 standout quarterbacks. Like there's some studs, there's stud wide receivers, there's a couple stud running backs here and there. But if I was the Titans, I would take Travis Hunter. I would gamble this year, and I would have, Will Levis, maybe something like that, play him for the year, and I would write it into next year's draft. Maybe we get an Arch Manning. Maybe we get, somebody else where it's an actually quarterback talent-driven draft. To whereas this, I mean, Cam Ward, he's a stud. The story is amazing, dude. The kid was unrecruited out of high school. Now he's literally going to be a potential number 1 pick in the draft. 90% it's going to be Cam Ward. But like Mike was alluding to, it with somebody so good, it's a generational talent in Travis Hunter. To win the Heisman at wide receiver is crazy. His stats, I would play him at wide receiver. I'd bring him on as the Titans. I'd play him at wide receiver, and I would situationally put him in spots at corner where we're in the red zone, where there's places where he is so, his mindset, he is such a great wide receiver that he's an even better defensive back because he knows what they're going to do. He can literally simulate, if I was on the other side, this is what I'm doing if I cover myself like this, or if I'm playing a nickel, or if we're doing he does all that. So for me to pass up on somebody that good, it's hard. I would gamble. I would take Travis Hunter as the Titans. I'd pass on Cam Ward, and I'd ride it into next year's draft. Maybe we have a 6th or 7th. Maybe we can trade, because I don't see them doing great if they do that. But to have that center stone to build your franchise around for the next 15 years, you can't pass it up.
No, and it's interesting that you bring that up, because that's literally one of the things I want to talk about is Travis Hunter did come out and say that he really has a strong desire to play both wide receiver and cornerback. And I've heard, kind of the opposite of your thought, where they think he should primarily play corner and then get 10 to 15 downs at receiver. I guess I don't have an opinion either way. I think it would be smart to give him to do it that way, either one way or the other. Have him primarily be one and give him a few reps at the other. But Mike, be like the tiebreaker here, maybe, or let us know what you're thinking. Do you think he should play both, and if so, which one should he do primarily?
Man, that is so hard because I almost go back to thinking about players like one Deion Sanders. Now, he didn't play both sides of the football, but he played different sports. He was a great athlete in both, but you would say that he picked the right sport and was a Hall of Famer in one, right? So what I guess in the long story short of it all is I feel like you got to pick one so you can really dominate that craft, right? If you're going out and doing what he did in college, which was playing 110 snaps a game, every snap on offense and defense, it's just not feasible. And I think in regard to him playing defense more primarily, that's when you can get him in those gadget plays. And, as the Titans, if it is Tennessee or if it's Cleveland at number 2, as they build their rosters and they can throw teams off when they involve him on the offensive side, you're looking at him having a longer career playing on the defensive end, not taking as much of the brunt and punishment from playing wide receiver as well. Because he's not the biggest guy, right? 6'1", 185. I know he has elite speed, but yeah, it's the way that he improved on the defensive end this year for Colorado. I just think it's a surefire bet to put him at that corner spot, and you can move him all over the field because he's that transcendent and can really play, in the slot if you need to, covering guys, go across the field, picking up the best receivers on each team. I think it just makes more sense to go corner for Travis Hunter, but he's going to be hard-headed and he's going to be knocking down the offensive coordinator's door asking, why did I only get 2 routes on Sunday? We need to start bumping that up. So I wouldn't be surprised, especially as he gets more established in the league, if you're seeing him more on the offensive side, if they do pin pocket him as the corner.
Yeah, and I think Matt makes a really good point in that same vein of he has played both positions. So as a corner, you can know what to expect from a wide receiver and kind of vice versa, and it's not uncommon, I think, especially at lower levels like high school, for guys to play both sides of the football. I think it's actually fairly common, but to be able to do it at the college level and at a high level for that Colorado team, I think is gonna suit him well in the NFL. I'll be curious to see what they do there. But Matt, when it comes to the running back position, where we are used to seeing running backs taken in the first round, this year I think there's only a couple prospects, and the big one that stands out, of course, is Ashton Jeanty. He had 2,600 rushing yards, 29 rushing touchdowns, Heisman candidate, only beat out by Travis Hunter. What do you think? Is this guy going to be a generational running back at 5'8"?
Yeah, he's 5. What did he measure out at the combine? Can you look up quickly his actual combine measurements? If you just search his name, it'll be literally the first thing that pops up if he went there. Anyways, though, that guy had video game numbers. That's the dude that when you're sitting there and you just 99 overall everything, that's what you get. You get it also goes to tell you how much more impressive Travis Hunter's season was on both the defense and offensive side if he's able to beat out somebody with those sort of statistics. Man, everything I saw him going to the Raiders. That was the big one. 5'8.5", 211. I mean, he's mean. He runs at such a mean low center of gravity. Like, he is just, his legs, he reminds me of like Ray Rice, kind of like the same sort of just like ball of muscle. Scroll down, it'll tell you like NFL prospect. I'm really curious what he's NFL.
Oh,
whatever.
like his player comp.
Yes, player comparison. LaDainian Tomlinson. That's a great fucking comparison.
Yeah, LT, that's pretty good.
Dude,
that's pretty good.
Dude, no, so I saw him going to the Raiders, and I think that'd be awesome for Pete Carroll to have somebody that's so similar in the running style of like a Marshawn Lynch. I mean, he didn't utilize him. We all know the famous fucking Super Bowl player. Not going to talk about that. But, yeah, man, I think I'm afraid because he runs. So it's kind of like Cam. Like Cam's a very physical running back. So it's like, how long can you do that? Like they're big dudes. Like I know at Boise State, you're playing against fucking like Nevada. Like I'm not saying Nevada is not a great school, but like, so can he continue to do that? That's the big question. But you're gonna get a good 5 years on a rookie deal, and he's got the NFL body. He's a short bag of human river rocks. So what I would call him. Yeah, I think he's going to be great, dude. It'd be really cool if we could get somebody like that, which we might when we talk later. But yeah, I think he does good. I don't even know what other running backs there really are. That's the only dude I really looked at. Cause yeah, it's like admittingly, it's like, I love his tape. He is so fun, dude. It was every week. It was like 28 carries, 240 yards, 3 touchdowns. We'll see. We'll see if he does it on Sundays. He did it on Saturdays, though.
Well, and I will say that a lot of people are kind of starting to say that we're seeing a little bit more of a changing of the guard back to the running back play, I guess, to a certain extent. I mean, we could say it with the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, we're a run first team, right? We might have to transition a little bit of that if we're going to go further. But with that being said, I mean, the great thing about Ashton Jeanty is, yeah, he comes from a smaller school in Boise State, but you can see it, man. Like his talent and skill alone, like it can supersede like poor quality of blocking for him. Like he's that much of a playmaker, which makes sense why he would go to Las Vegas, right? You're going to have to lean heavily on him. But once again, you know, as I touched on with Travis Hunter, as you start to build out these offensive, that's the perfect guy, you know, to basically lean into, you know, his creation of a proper balance in offensive attacks, you know, is ideal for, you know, then getting into play actions, right? Getting him those dump offs and continuing to lean on him. And if you're a team like the Las Vegas Raiders, you need all the help you can get on the offensive end. So for me though, guys, is it a stretch to see him going top 10? I think so. But once again, this goes back alluding to what we were talking about as really where the talent is in this draft. And Ashton Jeanty at this point is a top 10 talent, so would not be surprised to see him, you know, maybe even go 5 to Jacksonville. Who knows? Even though they got Tank Bigsby, but sounds like Las Vegas is the surefire bet if you're putting money on it, at least.
Well, and they still have Etienne Jr., who they drafted not that long ago. So I'm with you. If I'm Jacksonville, I'd probably take a look at it. Just, you know, if you're adopting the old draft strategy of take the best available, I just think if I'm a GM, it'd be a tough position to be in, because I don't necessarily disagree with you, Mike, that maybe he could slide out of the top 10 just because of the shorter shelf life of running backs. And we're in this day and age where you're really only going to want to have him for the rookie contract. And then after that, they're going to want too much money. And with it's a high risk, high reward proposition, which it's tough for running backs, right? Because you're taking this pounding, so it's not necessarily your fault that you're getting injured. But why would teams pay big money to a position that might miss a whole entire season or a good majority of a season? It's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't. But I don't know. The top 10 is pretty interesting. Personally, another guy that stands out to me is the tight end out of Penn State, Tyler Warren. He did have a breakout 2024 season, 1,233 yards for the Nittany Lions, 12 offensive touchdowns. But Mike, is there anybody else who stands out to you that you've seen in the top 10 of these mocks?
No, Chris, you literally just stole it from me, man. Tyler Warren, dude, what a dog, man. The beautiful thing about this guy is he brings that spirit and he brings that swagger. I mean, that can be infectious in a locker room, man. And he's a hell of a player, man. 6'6", 260. He's quick enough to beat man coverage underneath. So he's great at recognizing holes in coverage. And he can make those contested catches, which is what you need out of any kind of tight end if you're not Tip Ryman. You know what I'm saying? The tight ends are playmakers in the NFL nowadays. And he can still, like, he's a solid lead and move blocker as well. So I think the sky's the limit for this kid. Honestly, within the first 2 years of his career, it could be almost like a Brock Bowers situation where he just jumps on the map. And you're talking about this kid as a top 5 tight end for, you know, the next 5 years. But I think we would be remiss, Chris, if we didn't talk about the guy that honestly, in our hopes and dreams would hope some kind of crazy free fall would happen, which is Abdul Carter, the edge out of Penn State. Man, another dog. Let's talk about it, man. He darts into those gaps. He's willing to scrap at the point of attack, and he rushes with that rabid intensity at all times, man. Just explosive off the blocks. With the way that the Arizona Cardinals have struggled bringing consistent pressure over the past 3 seasons at this point, that's almost a plug-and-play guy that you can put in and have dominate right from the time that he steps onto an NFL football field. And it sounds like he might go to the New York Giants. But there's a reason I didn't include him in our top 5, the VSP 5. It's because he's the best edge rush available this year. And, man, he's going to be a problem to deal with for seasons to come. That's for sure.
Oh, without a doubt. A little foreshadowing there with the VSP 5. But, yeah, Abdul Carter, man, 68 tackles, 12 sacks, 2 forced fumbles last season with Penn State. Absolute beast. But Matt, I want to give you the floor to chime in one last time. Does anybody else stand out to you? And do you think the Saints will take Shedeur Sanders at 9?
Shedeur Sanders at 9? Are you like VSP Tallman likes to say, are you on drugs? Like, did we watch the same? Hell no, he's not going at 9. He's not even going in the first round, dude. I don't think he's a first round pick. There's no way. I think Jackson Dart has a better chance at going mid 20 to 30s than Shedeur Sanders does. But with that being said, I mean, at this point, dude, every mock draft I've seen is literally shuffled everybody around like a built Uno card deck. There's just stuff everywhere. You have no idea who's going where. Yeah, I mean,
they retired his number at Colorado,
dude,
Matt. I mean, Colorado legend Shedeur Sanders here.
If fucking Ashton's fucking jersey didn't get retired, there's no way this guy's jersey gets retired. That was laughable. And I think it should have just been Travis Hunter. It's just, that's the Deion Sanders effect. That's what he does, dude.
Bro, it's actually annoying because I tweeted about this last week.
Some people hate it, dude.
Dude, freaking Cordell Stewart. His number should be retired. If you're talking about a Colorado quarterback, it should be Cordell Stewart. He led them to multiple bowl games, multiple bowl game wins, 3 winning seasons during his time there. But no. Yeah.
Pick anybody on the 1990 national championship roster for them that wore the number 222, 222 and retire that thing. Joke. That's a laughable thing, dude. I hope they take that down. I hope something happens. Deion Sanders goes to the NFL and coaches his kids in 3 years or nothing crazy in the first top 10. I think it's anybody. It's the first 5 picks are pretty solidified. I'd like to see the Patriots not take our boy out of Penn State, but I do not think he's going to drop anywhere after them. But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. We'll see.
Yeah, it's exciting. And honestly, it's real intriguing not having the star power as much as in past years because it makes it more unknown. You don't know what's going to happen. I personally, I made a conspiracy theory last year. I had one cooked up. It didn't come to fruition. My conspiracy last year was that Austin Fort would trade a bunch of picks again and just keep stockpiling picks and never actually draft players. But he drafted guys last year. But I have a new conspiracy theory for this year. I'll get onto that a little bit later. But yeah, I don't know. I expect some moves to be made was all I was going to say is I think we're going to see some trades. There's just still a lot of unknown. Teams have some glaring holes. The Pittsburgh Steelers specifically don't really have a quarterback. They were banking on Aaron Rodgers, but now it kind of looks like he's leaning towards retirement. But that ties right into my conspiracy theory. But fellas, we're going to talk about what the Arizona Cardinals should do with this 16th pick that they have. They need a guard, an edge, and a wide receiver is the conventional top needs for the Cardinals right now. There are some other odds and ends that we could pick there. A lot of people wondering if they're going to try and trade up, but again, not really much star power. So a lot of people don't think they do have a reason to trade up. I think we could see them trade down potentially, but right off the top, I mean, but based off the positions of need, if you're the Cardinals, do you draft best available or do you not really care and just go with the guy that you had, targeted through your interviews and the scouting process?
I think with the work that they did in free agency this year, they do have wiggle room to work within best available, right? but there's still some rooms that and we're going to get into it with the VSP5, where I'm almost looking at just bulking up areas and starting to kind of create some, situations of growth and really, bringing in some young guys and not forcing them to be contributors immediately, right? At the end of the day, if you're an NFL first round pick, you're going to get field time and you're going to have some kind of expectations. But the beautiful thing, man, with how the Arizona Cardinals maneuvered and really pinpointed areas of need, when I talk about that, I'm looking at edge rusher. It put things in flux, and you can start kind of transitioning to other areas that, might not be as pressing of issues, which is where, Monty Osfort and Jonathan Gannon are going to have to do this entire song and dance. And they've been doing it for, the past couple months through draft prep. But as the board starts to fall, that's when your decisions get a little bit tougher. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to still shore up the edge room if you can. With that being said, I think some of those, high profile guys that we wanted to see go to 16, there's more question marks with some of them with, long-term injury issues and whatnot. So I've transitioned, man. I'm now looking at, I think, bringing in some offensive line talent, to make sure it doesn't have to be tackle, because you still got your two guys. Jonah Williams is still under contract for another season this year, and he has to be given the opportunity to play and prove it this year because he was injured for most of last season. But yeah, I'm still even maybe looking at, no, I won't say inside linebacker, because I feel like we always do that, and it's there's no point to that unless they're purely edge rushers. But another room I'm looking at is corner, Chris. So let's bring back the no-fly zone. Why not? But it's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be fun as these blocks start to fall and kind of opens up what the Arizona Cardinals possibilities are at 16.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think there's just so many different ways they could go there. If you had asked us a couple months ago, you probably would have said, oh, for sure, edge. Like, we definitely need an edge rusher. But then they were attacking that really aggressively in free agency, where it's like, now the urgency might not be as heavy as we thought. I guess, Matt, if you're sitting there in the war room with Monty Ossenfort, what do you think you'd be having them look at position-wise?
I'm going to kind of echo the same thing as my friend Mr. Benjamin over there. I think the interior line, I think this year we do have our outside tackles locked in. I think it's Willie. He has a chance. He needs to show that he can play, and he gets that opportunity. One more year, let him do its thing. We don't need to do anything with that. An interior lineman, like a true run first guard, would be really cool. That can do, like a nice pulling guard, somebody that's like a 6'5", 6'6", 310, can kind of move, not super fast, but he's quick. I would like to see that. If not, like you guys were saying, the edge rusher, like if you talked to me a month ago or 2 months ago, yeah, I would have said somebody on the outside that can get low and in the backfield. That's it, quickly. That would have been my first thing. We went and got somebody that played great in the Super Bowl. It's very familiar with Gannon, so I'm happy with that. Our cornerback room, I know we touched on it a little bit. Speaking about Melton, I would like to see maybe we had somebody there, somebody that's a surefire talent. And I would also like to see, last but not least, this is a big Santa Christmas list. I know I keep adding things to it. I'm like a little kid.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm like a little kid. I want this and that. I want to see us get like a wide receiver, like a good wide receiver. Like I love Mykel Wilson, and I know I think I know you guys are gonna say that. I like him. I don't like him as a 1 or a 2. I think he's talented. Where if we had, Marv and then just went and got somebody that was maybe a quick little speedster that might have broke the hearts of ASU fans at one point. Hint, hint, that would be cool. But I don't know, dude. It's one of those things where you're like a kid writing the Christmas list and your parents are sitting there looking at their bank account. And you're like, you don't know what's going to be in those presents on freaking Christmas morning. So we'll see. We'll see what Thursday. I know on that 16th, the little, oh, dude, I'm going to sit there and have little sweat beads. And she's like, oh, so we'll see.
Well, it's also, I mean, while we're using it, like those types of analogies, it's like when you're a kid and you like sneak stuff into the cart without your parents seeing, and then they get to check out, and it's like, well, we can't buy all of this, so we gotta pick and choose what we're gonna get. I do like where you're headed there with the wide receiver, question, because that's been the big debate the past couple weeks, is that the Cardinals haven't really done much to address their wide receiver room this offseason. And I'm honestly not very impressed by it, outside of Marvin Harrison Jr. and why am I forgetting his name? You guys, Mykel Wilson. Thank you. They did re-sign Greg Dortch and Zay Jones, but Zay Jones really didn't do anything for us last year. We know who Greg Dortch is. Not really gonna take us to the next level. So the two wide receivers that are really intriguing that we could potentially have available for us at 16 here are obviously McMillan out of U of A and was it Matthew Golden out of Texas. Now both come with their downsides from an emotional standpoint. Of course, U of A, McMillan, not big fans of U of A up here in the Valley, and Golden honestly cooked ASU during that championship game. So but we can put those feelings aside if we get one of those guys on our team. The idea that I've heard floated is similar to, we hop in a time machine, go back 20 years. The Arizona Cardinals drafted Anquan Boldin in the second round in 2003. Then the next year they turn around and in 2004 draft Larry Fitzgerald in the first round. So we got Marvin Harrison Jr. out of Ohio State last year in the first round. Late first round, middle first round, maybe we get another young stud wide receiver to pair with them. Because if you look at 2004, less than 5 years later, about 5 years later, the Cardinals were playing in a Super Bowl. And so is that a winning formula to stick two young, talented wide receivers, not even mentioning Trey McBride being a part of that formula? I mean, you're talking about weapons. And then if you still believe in Kyler Murray, I think the quarterback situation is a lot better than what Fitz and Bolton were coming into back in the day. Now, that's recency bias, maybe a bit not being so objective there, but I was listening to Arizona Sports today, and John Gambadoro basically shot that down. He said that he can almost guarantee that the Cardinals aren't going to go wide receiver at 16, but he didn't cite any inside information. I guess the question I want to ask, and I want you to talk about here, Mike, is should they consider it?
Man, I think you really honestly have to consider if T-Mac falls, man. You're talking about a first-team AP All-American guy last year. He was third team the season before. He's the only guy in college football who had over 1,300 yards the past 2 seasons. I mean, he's a playmaker, right? He's a playmaker. He is a possession receiver with size, and he has the ball skills to create big wins deep. He has a feel for adjusting routes and working back to QBs, which is paramount for receivers with Kyler Murray, especially when he gets into his scramble drill, right? But yeah, I mean, elite ball skills, you can never have too many of those guys on your team. Now, at the end of the day, I'm still in the camp of Mykel Wilson is too young of a talent, and it seems like he's shaking the injury bug as well. You got to give him some more time to develop next year. I know we're going into year 3, but sometimes guys don't blossom until they really have got their feet completely wet and been given the opportunities. I mean, we have to remember this team, and Chris, you touched on it. The leading receiver was our tight end, Trey McBride, with 112 catches. I mean, the ball can only go around so much. So I think that's where a lot of fans and probably John Gambadoro at the end of the day aren't looking to pick T-Mac in this position, even if he falls, because the ball is, you got to feed these guys. You got to feed James Conner. You got to feed Trey McBride, and you have to make Marvin Harrison Jr. a certified number 1 receiver this year with close to 1,200 yards. So if you're trying to bring in, a top level talent like Tetairoa McMillan is, he's going to be on the back burner. And I think this team is ready to compete right now. So you need to invest that capital into the rooms that are just so close to being there and can almost push to incredible or elite in some circumstances. And that's just not the wide receiver room. because we already just sunk that money into big play Trey, man. He's going to get fed a lot next year. So no wide receiver for me at 16 either, but there might be a guy that makes an appearance in my VSP5. I'll tease that now.
Ooh, I love it. We're going to get to it. We're going to get to it real soon. Really excited for this. But Matt, I do want you to chime in on this as well, because should McMillan and Golden by some magical force be available at 16, what would your preference be? Because I've heard both conventional thoughts.
I mean, I think talent-wise and size-wise, I mean, what is T-Mac, like 6'4", 6'5"? He's a big body. I know that. He's a big, lengthy, big target for Kyler Murray. What I don't like, though, and I know I keep hearing this, and I actually read the quote also in that article you pulled up, Chris. Everybody's like, get a wide receiver, because if Kyler doesn't play good, now we know. So is getting a wide receiver at 16 just a way for us to justify moving off and being like, well, and look what he's got. He's got big play Trey. He's got fucking Maserati Marv. He's got, T-Mac, or if he even get, a Matthew Golden, he's got weapons now. There's no more excuse. Is that what fans want? Do we waste a 16 for that? I mean, is it really a waste, though, if you get a T-Mac? But he also played on U of A, dude. U of A was horrible, and they had nobody else. So is he a product of but even then, the opposing defenses are going to try to double him, triple him. So he does have the talent. If he does drop, which I don't think is going to happen, it could happen. We could take him. But I just think it's a way for fans to justify, like, oh, Kyler's not good, we can move on. I know I'm a Kyler fanboy, so I'm over here like, fuck, don't say that. But I think it's kind of a waste. I think we have enough talent in the room where we could give Michael Wilson one more year. We have Trey. We have mouths to feed. Is there enough food to feed the mouths? Do we need to add another kid to the family? Do we have the money for it? Like, that's what it kind of feels like. Or can we address the other side of the family and not have to feed all the dudes on this side? And maybe we need to get more people eating because there's a pile of food on the defensive side and not enough mouths eating it. So I hope we go defense 16. We'll see.
Oh man, Mike, it looked like you had something to say there during.
Oh yeah, I was going to say, Matt, how quickly you are to forget that Tetairoa McMillan was a key contributor to U of A finishing top 10 in 2024 in college football. But hey, that's how fast things can go from great to bad. So it's all right. Don't worry.
Right, and real quick before we do get to our Valley Sports Plug 5, the VSP 5, as we're dubbing it. We're going to put it out there on our socials, see how well we are at playing GM here. But I did hear some rumblings. There's some targets, some guys that might have been in the VSP 5 a couple weeks ago, maybe still are in some of our VSP 5s, but through the draft process and the combine and the interviews, these guys are looked over head to toe and they have doctors looking at them. And a lot of these guys have been flagged with medical concerns. Some of the standouts that were on Cardinals draft boards that I've seen are cornerback Will Johnson. He has a shoulder concern. Jihad Campbell, a linebacker, also shoulder. Josh Simmons, OT with a knee. And Derek Harmon, defensive tackle. Now, all of these guys, this is all based off either previous medical history or what they're seeing. Not necessarily that they're injured right now, but that they're concerned about the long-term health. I guess when you see these medical red flags on guys that you're thinking about targeting, and more so when it speaks to their longevity, does that maybe think, if you're, again, putting yourself in Monty Austinforth's shoes, I hate to keep saying that, but if you're in the Cardinals war room, does that sway you against taking these guys, or do you bite the bullet and maybe they're the best guy on the board at the time, so you go and you take a flyer on them?
I would say it definitely has to give you pause for concern, and you have to do your due diligence and do all your research. If you're Monty Austinforth and Jonathan Gannon, if you're going to invest a first-round pick in any of these guys. Now, with that being said, I think it really depends what position you're going after. Is this a guy that you're thinking is going to have to be an impact player immediately? Those are the guys that you have to say, I don't know if I can draft this guy, even top 20. Definitely, investing into that position where you're like counting on somebody to be a difference maker, like you could think about, say, if it was last year or the year before when the Arizona Cardinals edge rush room was absolutely barren and there was issues with, say, Will Anderson Jr.'s, long-term health or something, and they went with him at number 3. That would be a cause for concern, I guess, on my front. Now, obviously, the hindsight is 2020. Will Anderson has shown to be a great star, first and foremost, in the league right now, and he doesn't have injury histories. But you get what I'm saying, right? The edge room was so bad. Whoever you drafted was going to have to be basically your number 1 impact player. The beautiful thing about the Arizona Cardinals sitting at 16 and what they've done and the team that they've created is this guy that they're going to bring in at the end of the day is going to be kind of like a rotational piece, right? An eventual starter at some point, but a lot of these rooms are so filled. So you might be able to stretch and take, some of those guys that might be earmarked as concerns for injuries and long-term stuff. So, because at the end of the day, I think, this regime sees the writing on the wall as well as, what does the NFL stand for? Not for long. If the Arizona Cardinals aren't successful within the next 2 years, knocking on the door of maybe an NFC championship game, I'm not saying this year, we just got to get to the playoffs this year, but they're going to work around and continue to create the best team to be successful here. And if it is taking a flyer on a guy that might get you there within the next 3 years, you could do it. I could see it.
Yeah, and honestly, especially I think like we've talked about with the level of talent in this draft, I think you take it into account. You have to consider it, but take in all the information you can get and then pick the best guy available. I think this is a best available kind of draft. The Cardinals do have some needs that we've discussed, but at the end of the day, you want the best talent on your roster, and you can figure it out, and you can never have too much depth at almost any position. But guys, I think it's time we do our VSP5 that we've been teasing. I want to ask you before we start, Mr. Benjamin, would you like to do this as a collective where we kind of discuss and debate a top 5, or are we all going to give an individual top 5? Because I think there's going to be some overlap.
I think there's going to be some overlap, so maybe we can just
collective.
How are we going to do that? Is just one of us going to shout out a name and see if we had them on our list?
Yeah, I mean, I think so 3 of us, 5 picks. We can each name our favorite, and then for the last 2, make it a quick discussion. Like you said, someone throws out a name, makes their case, and then go from there. And I can jot the notes down here of who we land on, because I have 5 and an honorable mention currently on my quick list.
I got 5. And I think I at least know, I have a feeling that 2 of them are going to be, me and Mr. T Jr. are going to be aligned on them. I have a feeling. So maybe can I just rip one right off the
rip one? I was going to say, rip
just
one. That's the best way. Yeah.
And I love the discussion that we've been having already, because, some of these guys have already started to float around here, right? And in my top 5, we already talked about it. Does it really make sense for the Arizona Cardinals to take a wide receiver? Probably not. But I would be remiss if I didn't include this guy in the VSP 5, or at least my 5, because I'm also thinking about who's going to be truly available at that time when we're looking at taking somebody at pick 16. So I went with Matthew Golden from the Texas Longhorns, man. 6 foot, 194. He works all 3 levels of the field. He's going to need to refine his route running, but he really alters tempo so well. And for a small guy, he has crazy speed. I think, Chris, you put it in the chat, 4.2940. Just a barn burner. And that's what this Arizona Cardinals need. They need somebody to be able to truly take the top off of defenses. We're hoping that Marvin Harrison Jr. can get there one day, but Marv is such a big body. He's going to, truly be a possession receiver, at least to start within his career, until he can really work the kinks out of everything. So I think if you bring in somebody like a Matthew Golden, who you could put anywhere, you could put him at slot, And I don't care that you brought Greg Dortch back at this point. You know, you're giving the keys to Matthew Golden to start at this point because he's a true playmaker. He can play at all three receiver spots. And I think if you are looking at picking a wide receiver, once again, it kind of goes back into our conversations of bringing talent into rooms that are already talented to a certain extent, right? Because having competition always brings the best out of guys, especially on championship level teams. And that's where we need to go. So yeah, Matt, this is one of the guys that I thought might have been in your top 5. Was he there for you?
Yeah, no, he was literally number 2. I love watching that kid. I think he led Texas in both receiving yards and touchdowns this season. I think he started, what was it, four seasons with. The kid has the speed that we need. I think we're lacking speed. I think Greg Dortch he's a special teams guy. Like in my opinion, like Greg Dortch isn't really like Golden is Dortch 2.0. I think he can do everything that Dortch does and better. I agree with you, Mike, that the second he were to get drafted, or if he ever did get drafted by us, the keys are going to him. Dortch is an afterthought at that point. It's kind of like, cool, yeah, we have an extra dude that we know shifty and can do some cool shit every like 25 plays. Like once a game, he does something cool where you're like, Dortch. You're like, I love that guy. Like every time I'm like, let's go, Dortch. But yeah, no, he was up there for me. I think just watching him play against ASU too, it's just that dude, I feel like tore my heart out a couple of times. He's just so hard. Every time it's like he's wide open. It's like, why can nobody cover him? And then looking at his combine stats and everything, it's like, oh, that's why he runs a freaking 4.340. So no, it'd be really cool to see us get him. I think he's just a great character guy too. He's got the size for it to where he's like a decently sized slot. I guess you could call him a slot wide receiver. I don't think he's going to, but you could put him outside. That's the other thing. But if you put him at a slot, he's running a 4.340 and you have a linebacker covering him. So it's like that, the mismatches that you could have with him and the places you can line him up just because of his speed, man, it would be cool. But I think there's other things to address if the cards were to be falling correctly.
No, man, we're in a line. Matthew Golden was definitely on my list. And I think for the reasons I kind of outlined earlier, it gives you that 1-2 punch similar to Bolden and Fitz. We already have Marv. He's the big 6'4" wide receiver. You bring in the speedster Matthew Golden at 5'11". Again, that 4.340, that speed is going to be crazy. And it's almost a 1-2-3 punch. Again, talking about Trey McBride, Matt, you kind of talked about how people want to give Kyler no excuse, where he has to have all the tools available to him. And this would be a big part of that. Now, I've said it before on this very podcast network, if you'll call it that they're going to find a way to make an excuse for Kyler one way or another. If you load up all these weapons, it's going to be the offensive line wasn't good enough. It's going to be, the play calling wasn't in his favor. And I do agree, the play calling does need to be improved this next season. But regardless, I don't think we get caught up in that. I don't think those are conversations they're necessarily having internally. I also somewhat agree with you, Matt, that I think there are more pressing needs potentially, but it is enticing. A Matthew Golden would be an awesome pick, and I think show some balls. Monty would be showing some balls if he did that. Taking wide receivers in the first round 2 years in a row, man. But so okay, we got one on the board. Matthew Golden is one of the VSP 5. I'm gonna throw out the second name.
Do it.
Do it.
All right. And then Matt, you can get the next one after that. I want to go with Matthew Golden's teammate, Jahdae Barron, cornerback. Also quick guy. Ran I think a 4.440. His vertical wasn't quite as impressive as people were hoping it would be, but the combine is a bubble. It doesn't mean that's the end all be all for him. I just think it helps in a position of need. We did talk about some of our concerns at the cornerback position. I think should Will Johnson drop, it could be intriguing, but again, the medical concerns there kind of turn me off of him just a little bit. I think overall, just the need for depth at corner and on the defensive side right now is a reason for me to target Barron. But I don't know. What do you guys think of that pick?
Yeah, no, that was. I'm not even gonna have to say any of mine because you guys are gonna steal them all. No, dude, he's crazy. So he has the lowest passer rating allowed in man coverage as of last season, which was a 0.6 passer rating against him in man coverage. Absurd. The dude can play anywhere too. He's a nickel, safety, defensive back. And what's really cool is if you go back to know that tweet you pulled up of Nomney where he said, we want good players that are good people. Dude, Jahdae, he's the most humble guy. In his quote, Barron literally said he was like, I'll play anything for you, and I'll be the most humble guy doing it. He thanks God after everything. He's like a really good character, dude. And I'm a firm believer good people make good players that make great teammates. That's it. And that's what we need. You watch his tape, dude. He's a psycho. The dude's out there. He reminds me of like Brian Dawkins a little bit, to where people talk about him being like really quiet, like really cool off the field, but you like got him on the field and they called him a demon. He was like a psychopath. Let me just his accolades for last season, because this was one of my big ones that I would love. This is who I want us to take with 16 if he's there. This is my number one pick. First team Associated Press All-American, first team All-SEC, won the Jim Thorpe Award for the nation's top defensive back, finalist for the Bronco Nagurski Award, was the nation's top defender. He was the Peach Bowl defensive MVP against ASU with 11 tackles, tied for fourth in the FBS with 5 interceptions, led the Texas in 11 pass breakups, started all 16 games with 67 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, and a sack. Dude. If we could get somebody like that to where it's just, oh man, he's a dog. That's a dog. You got to get him a leash, man. I would freak the F out if we got this guy. There's just too many things to where it just checks every box. It's a need that we need. That's a top 3. He's going to start day one. He's going to be a crazy dude on the field to where he's going to be chirping. I love that dude. For so many years, we were so like, oh, Shady Acres, like there was no character on it until like last season, where I know you don't like him, Mike, but Sean Murphy bunting, fighting people, getting thrown. Like, dude, we need this. We need some character. We need somebody that's a lockdown dude. He ran a 4.440. He's 5'11", 195. Man, if he's there and we don't take him, I will not watch a game next season.
I will say, for Sean Murphy Bunting's sake, he garnered a lot of positive in my book when he fought Juwan Jennings and got him kicked out of the game when Juwan was going for that 1,000-yard season and he couldn't get it. Yeah. Sometimes you need fighters like that. But gentlemen, I didn't have him on my top 5, but hell, if you're going to add in 2 SEC killers, stamp it in the book, man. Let's put them on there for sure.
I think Sean Murphy Bunting lost some points for me when he started hanging out with Bobby Altoff in the offseason.
I thought you were going to say he lost points when he's fighting. But yeah, we'll give him some. What do the kids say? We'll give him some negative aura for that.
Yeah, he definitely got negative aura. But I don't know. I guess. Well, I can say that because she's kind of an obnoxious internet personality. I guess he did kind of maybe cancel it out with some positive aura, because I think he went viral for, she was like super drunk at a party and he like carried her out of there and made sure she got home safe or something like that. So good guy, Sean Murphy Bunting. And of course, Matt goes to the restroom when I want to ask him to make a pick for the VSP 5 here. So I guess we just got to work with what we got here, Mike. I guess since I guess it counts because Jahdae Barron was on Matt's list.
Yeah. So
let's go back to your list. See if it matches up with what I got.
Okay. Well, let's see here. Yes. Now this is I'll probably put this one out in regard to a high likely possibility because he might be there. But honestly, it could be a stretch here. But this is a clear position of need for this Arizona Cardinals team. And it's Tyler Booker, the Alabama guard, right? 6'5", 324. The biggest issues is there's athleticism concerns with him, especially since he had a real tough combine. He ran a 5.38 40-yard dash, which was the second slowest among offensive linemen. But gentlemen, I'm kind of at the point where it's like, I honestly don't care, because this is a guy that you can plug and play and could probably be a starter for this team next season. Possibly, we know how offensive linemen unfortunately get injured a lot of the time. He could make multiple starts this year as well. I think the tape shows who Tyler Booker really is, to be honest with you. And hey, let's have 2 books in the Valley. I don't know, it works for me, man. But that was kind of a stretch. I don't know if you guys had him on your list at all. And Matt, we kind of, we jumped over you because you stepped out for a second. But I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts? Anything about Tyler Booker? Was it?
I have Tyler Booker. I have him at 4. He was a second team All-American, dude. He was a 2-time team captain for Alabama. That's what you got to think. If I know Nick Saban's not there, blah, 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 blah. Alabama's not Alabama anymore. But to go to an SEC powerhouse, be a captain, be a lineman. I know the combine's not the greatest at the 5.38 40. He did have a 1.9 second 10-yard split, so that's not very quick. I feel like I'm not also, what is he, 6'5" something, 320 pounds. He's a big dude, but it'd be nice to have that because I watched some of his tape because I was like, let me look at this real quick because I'm not looking at inside guards very often. And let me admit that. The dude can freaking run people over. He is a powerhouse, nose first, downhill running guard. I think that'd be sick for somebody like, James Conner to have, to where it's just a big body to clear it. I don't know if he could plug. Maybe he could start this year, but yeah, well, maybe.
It's interesting you pose that question because Mike Tannenbaum was on the local radio here from ESPN, and he said that he is a plug and play guy where you can draft him and expect him to start right away this season. I mean, you got to think, you highlighted that he was the team captain, so he has experience, couple 2-3 seasons starting there at Alabama, a pro style program where they really don't play around there. I mean, guys, honestly, man, from a guy who's 6'4", 320, you could take 7 seconds running the 40. And as long as you can protect my quarterback, I don't really care all that much. So I like it. Don't play around. I've seen him a little lower on some draft boards, but again, like you take what you need and what it could help. I think the Cardinals should be looking at who can help them right now. Cause we're pretty much generously to say this could be the 3rd year of the rebuild with the new regime. I like to say it's like the 5th or 6th year of the rebuild. If you go back to the ending days of the Keim Cliff era, it's been bad, and we need to start being good, and we need to make the playoffs. So we need to bring guys in that can help us. And again, in that same vein of giving Kyler Murray no excuses, get him some help up front, let him breathe so he can get the ball downfield. We can start seeing those 50, 60-yard bombs again instead of these 5-10-yard dink and dunks that we saw all of last year. But love it, guys. Love it. So far, we're in lockstep on 2 of them, and then we got 2 out of 3 for Barron there. But Matt, since you're back now, I want you to give us a name for the VSP 5.
I'm gonna pull one up that might be different. I don't know you guys probably have it because we have all said that. Look, I don't know if you have it on your list, and we've all had it on our list, but I'm going with somebody out of Marshall named Mike Green, edge rusher. I don't know if you guys looked him up, saw it. The face scares me with what Mike's saying. I know. Okay. I get it. Do you want to, I literally copied and pasted this because when I read his draft thing, I started laughing because I was like, holy shit, this would be amazing. High energy pass rusher with a productivity and a method of play that should translate, which I was like, cool. He's a very physical player with notes of violence in the way he attacks the blockers. It's like, all right, sweet. He led all of FBS with 17 sacks last season. He was a second team All-American, Sun Belt Conference Defensive Player of the Year. I know Sun Belt, whatever. First team All Sun Belt. He was a finalist for the Ted Hendricks Award, which is the nation's top defensive end. He led the FBS with 17 sacks, 22 and a half tackles for loss, 3 forced fumbles. Yeah, I think somebody like him that's that quick, that can get that parallel to the ground. He has the wildest like punch power spin move, like James Harris. He's crazy. The dude is a wild madman. I mean, he definitely needs to hone it down a little bit because looks like he's drowning in water when he does it sometimes. But I like it, dude. I know it's kind of a reach. It's a Cardinals thing, dude. It's like getting Zaven Collins. We drafted Zaven Collins, and I was like, who? I like Zaven Collins. Now he's decent. I know he hasn't panned out great, but I knew it was a little bit of a reach. I liked him. I watched the tape. The stats stuck out to me. I think somebody like him in a good year or two, getting a little bit of weight on him, getting a little bit of an NFL system. I know Marshall is probably not crazy translatable. They say his game itself translate, but man, if you watch his tape, it's hard to not be like that. It'd be nice. It'd be really nice to see him on the edge, just attacking on every Sunday for us, because that's something we haven't had.
I hear you, Matt. Massive talent with some massive character questions. He does have assault allegations out there right now.
It's like Tyrann Mathieu, though, dude.
Is it?
Did you pull up it's allegations?
Mike, I'll let you go in here while I look up these allegations.
So here's the thing. Yeah, I mean,
I
Mike Green, the player, he does jump off the page. I think he had that viral Senior Bowl moment where he knocked the offensive lineman like cleanly on his back. And he basically, after that play, was like, all right, I did what I need to do. And then he left the Senior Bowl. The biggest thing, I don't have him on my list. Chris, it sounds like you might not have him on your list either. The biggest thing is the character issues for him. We have to remember this new front office and regime, they don't play around with that kind of stuff. So if people aren't aligned with, being high character quality individuals as well as good players, they're not even on the board. So even though, I'm going to be very interested to see what kind of NFL prospect and pro Mike Green is, I don't think it's going to be on the Arizona Cardinals. And that's not because I'm not willing to give that kid a chance. It's just the front office has literally told us they don't do that. So, yeah, he wasn't on my list, unfortunately.
What murders? It's like, I guess violence is a really poor choice of words by the NFL to put in his fucking draft combine profile. My God. Can I read the allegations? Am I allowed to say this? I had no idea.
Yeah, you're fine. I just heard about it today, so I'll
watch some videos. Of course, it's all coming out. It's like Laramie Tunsil ripping a gas mask. Come on, dude. Let the man live. Allegations of sexual assault, specifically 2 separate accusations. He denies these allegations, stating he has done nothing wrong. One accusation involved an event in Charlottesville, Virginia, reported to police on August 29th of 2022. He also mentioned ballsy of him to bring this up. He also mentioned a prior allegation in high school where he was not charged. Jesus Christ. All right. Yeah. After seeing Nambi's, we need good people. Good people make great players. Fuck this guy.
I do also believe there are some injury concerns with him, if I'm not mistaken as well. And I don't know if he's just really just relying on his 1 year of tape, because he didn't really take very many top 30 visits.
The dude
3 or 4. So that's the other thing. Again, I feel like that aligns more into the character side. Yep. He trusts his game. That's great. But also at the same time, if you got these allegations over your back shoulder, I think you need to go and talk to everybody and make sure that you prove to them who you truly are. And he didn't really do that throughout this process. So with that, once again, I don't think the Arizona Cardinals are going to take a flyer at 16 on this type of guy, especially with other possibilities out there.
There was one great player who had character issues that went to Marshall, that played wide receiver in the NFL, that we all know by the name of Randy Moss. Could he be? No, I'm just kidding. No. Yeah, I think no matter what, I don't care if you have 30 sacks, 100 interceptions, whatever. The best ability is availability. And if you're in a damn jail cell, you're not playing football. So sorry, I don't know, dude. But man, it's one of those things where what if he didn't have those character issues? What if he had those numbers and he's playing at Boise State, and it could be wild. So that sucks that those are that. Yeah.
Well, and I will also say character issues or injury concerns aside, I was just reading in some of my show prep here that out of the 22 or so picks that Monty Austinfort has made in his tenure at GM, he has never drafted a player from the FCS. Not one player from the FCS. So I find that to be interesting, and only another straw on the heap of evidence as to why I don't think Mike Green will be on the list there. So I think we're going to keep him off the VSP5, but I do appreciate your contribution there, Matthew, and it was a good conversation.
Yeah. They're good about hiding that stuff, dude. I could never be.
Yeah, how many?
I'd bring this guy to the table and they'd be like, "How much time did you spend looking him up?" I'd be like, "Well, right. I watched him on YouTube."
Exactly. If you're just looking at stats, just looking at box scores, I mean, you're probably not the only person who didn't know about that. But let's see if we can get 2 more names for the VSP5. Round out this list real quick. We can just start maybe rapid firing this a little bit, speed up the process. But I have a name and a quick little bit of logic that I want to throw out there, and that's OT Josh Simmons from Ohio State. I like him, 6'5", 300 pounds. Again, kind of a position of need. I think mostly what entices me is the idea of Austin Fort drafting an Ohio State player for the 3rd year in a row.
Oh, yes. Hey, and they love the Big Ten, dude. That's for sure. I did not have him on my list. Mr. T Jr., did you have him on your list?
I did not. I'm never going to put an Ohio State player on my fucking list, dude. I don't care if he's the next coming of Christ. He's not coming on my list.
Okay. All right. So sorry, Chris. So
hey,
rapid fire round. Matt, you might like this one because it's one of your guys in blue. It's Kenneth Grant, Michigan defensive tackle, 6'4", 331, highly touted disruptor of the run game. You bulk up that defensive line, and it's, you got to think about some of these other guys that you've lost to, and Roy Lopez. You got to start thinking about transitioning people to nose tackle. He can absorb and split those double teams. He does lack some explosiveness in early phase reps, but that's something that he'll continue to grow on. What do you guys think? Mr. T Jr., is he on your list? The boy in blue?
He is not.
Ooh.
But for me, it's like I don't really look at defensive tackles and offensive tackles. I guess I'm bad. I guess I have a couple of them. He is a big dude. If I'm not he's a big boy. So like it would be nice to have somebody young. I think from what I remember watching, he didn't play much 2 years ago. I think he played a lot last year. Could be mistaken. But I know he gets in the backfield a little bit. I know he's not just a run stop dude, but he's a big guy, can fill up holes pretty well. Yeah, I wouldn't be upset with that at all. I think we need to address that. I think our front 8 on the defensive side is lacking a little bit. If I had to say, it would be corner and then that, but no, not on the list.
All right. So he's intrigued, but Chris, is he on your list? I feel like if we don't have at least 2 out of 3, we got to run through all of our names until we can maybe pick our last 2.
I'll let you decide. He was my honorable mention player.
Okay.
So he wasn't on my official 5, but I think we might be running into kind of not bottom of the barrel necessarily, but where our list will vary quite a bit. So I think I'm willing to put Grant as 4 on the VSP 5.
Well, let's pin it for right now, and let's see who else everybody else got.
I will say one of my concerns about Kenneth Grant is he was kind of on the lower end of the bench press at the combine with only 22 reps, where other guys in comparable positions were getting 28, 29, 30 reps up. Granted, still more reps than I could do, but
look at him in that picture, though, Chris. That's him right there. That's him. He's 78.
Beefy guy.
A big boy right there. Look at the arms. Look at the
arms,
dude. You try to run from those.
All right, so I did. I had Josh Simmons. We pinned that got shot down. We pinned Kenneth Grant. Matt, your turn. Throw out a name. Who you got?
I only have 5. You guys didn't like my one. Mike stole that one.
Yeah, no more criminals, please.
I'm sorry. I truly did not know. All right. VSP audience, I do not endorse any sexual assault or anything of that nature. I'm going to do something on the fly right here, dude. I'm going to go.
You're forgiven, Matt. You're forgiven.
I apologize. I do that. I was a father of a daughter.
Oh, wait, real quick, Matt, before you give us the name, last thing I want to say on Kenneth Grant, he was one of the 30 players that the Cardinals did visit with. So he's probably on their board somewhere. Now, if that's at 16, it's another story. But Matt, what do you got?
Shemar Stewart. I don't think he's going to be there. I do remember seeing him play Texas A&M. Third team All SEC, which isn't great. I know he started all 12 games, 31 tackles, 5.5 tackles for a loss, 1.5 sacks. He did not play in the Las Vegas Bowl at USC to get ready for the NFL draft. So he might be in great shape. Measured at 6'5", 267 coming off the edge. I want us to get somebody from some sort of Power 5 conference that is a just edge quarterback killer. That's all I want for the Cardinals. Like, I want to get another Chandler Jones. Is that too hard to ask for? Like somebody that just, are you wearing it? Let's go. Too bad he lost his goddamn mind.
But cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Dude, good God, yeah, it is.
He went cuckoo, dude. He definitely did.
Dude, he went some of the wildest Instagram videos and things I'd ever seen in my life. 4.59 40, 1.58 10-yard split, 10 feet 11-inch broad jump. This dude could be in the goddamn Olympics. I don't think he's going to be there. He's definitely a Christmas list kind of hope to goodness something else happens. But like I said, I've seen him all the way at 15. I've seen him up at 10. I've seen him. I think this one that I'm looking at before had him at 11. He could go anywhere. So yeah, they have him at 11 to San Francisco, which I hope to God San Francisco doesn't take him because Kyler's going to die. So yeah, I would say Shemar Stewart. That's somebody that I just, who else would there even be? Tight ends, no tight ends. I don't want T-Mac. Screw T-Mac. Yeah, dude. Give me an edge rusher. Give me somebody that's a quarterback killer that's proven.
Well, that's an interesting one. What wasn't in my list, but Tankathon does have us taking him. Mike, what do you think?
Nice.
Really?
I feel like we might have to do Rochambeau at the end of this because that is a good pick, Matt, but it is not on my list. So we're getting down to it. Chris, throw out another one real quick. Who else you got?
All right, another guy. This was on my list. His stock is rising rapidly, so it's hard to imagine that he'll be there for us. But I had Mykel Williams, edge out of Georgia. I did mention that we do have quite a bit of depth at edge, but it doesn't hurt to bulk that up, and especially if you can get a guy that doesn't need to start right away and can learn and get some reps, some low, situational reps, low pressure situations, and really build him up without throwing him to the wolves. I think this guy, again, Georgia pro program, gets guys ready for the NFL. I think this guy would be a good name. But was he on your list?
He was absolutely on my list. I mean, he is the biggest person on this graphic that I made here. This is the guy, honestly, that I want at number 16. But it sounds like a lot of, draft sites or betting places, whatever you want to call them, saying he's a surefire top 15 pick at this point. But he's comparable in regard to length as Sanders, right? 6'5", 260. But that's exactly, Chris, you hit it right, the nail on the head, right? He's going to need more snaps and time to fill out his frame. And, he is an explosive athlete. He has an exceptional length, but he's the perfect project for a filled edge room now. With all of the moves and all of the people that Monty Ossenfort has brought in, the one reason I feel like he was my main guy because I thought, A, he was going to be available, but B, I have so much emotional damage over the last 3 years about this team not being able to sack or just generally get pressures on quarterbacks. You need to flood this room with as much possible talent. I don't even care. You re-signed Baron Browning. You got B.J. Ojulari coming back next year. You hope that Darius Robinson is going to be, a true great player in this league after being a first-round pick last year. You hope Zaven Collins can, take another step further on being the team's sack leader this year. But it wasn't enough, and it hasn't been enough. So you need to fill this room to the brim, dude. So that's why he was my number one guy on my board. And because you don't have to put him in too many high leverage situations, at least this first year, you can let him learn and adapt. And then hopefully, by the end of it all, he is your next Chandler Jones, because I think his ceiling is so very high. I think he's going to be a real good pro, but unfortunately I don't think he's going to be there for us anymore.
Yeah, tend to agree. Matt, was he on your list?
No, he wasn't. But looking at him, dude, goodness gracious, if somebody like that's available, I would take that all day, dude. I think Georgia just creates, which is funny, Georgia Bulldogs creates dogs, and they create NFL ready players, especially on the defense side, that you can literally plug and play. But with him, if we were to get somebody like that, like he doesn't need to be everything. Like he can get a couple years, fill out, get a little bit more strength in the upper body, get a little bit bigger. Yeah, I mean, they have him 28 Detroit Lions, 25 to the Texans. It would be cool. That would be somebody. I would take him over the sexual assault psychopath.
Matt, don't beat yourself too much.
Matt,
Don't
we're already
beat yourself
past it.
up.
We're already past it, man.
Everyone else is over it. It's fine. It's fine.
Okay, so we gotta stamp him in.
Put
right?
him. Yeah, you got to
I think we
stamp
do.
him.
Yeah,
That's if it's 2 out of 3 and you can convince the other one to where it's like, yeah, dude, if he was available and that's who we drafted and they were like breaking it down, and yeah, the guy, his tape looks great from what I'm watching. Out of Georgia, you can't be mad at all. Anything. Second team All SEC, tied for forced fumbles with 2. Played 12 games with 6 starts. He did suffer an ankle injury at the beginning of the year and played through that. So is that something that lingers? Could be crappy, but I mean, the dude's a 2-time second team All SEC. Yeah, it would be one of those where if they took him at 16, if he was there, I wouldn't be like upset at all.
All right. I like it. Then we got a solid 4. I guess the question at this point is, do we want to take Kenneth Grant off the bulletin board, or do we want to throw out a couple more names?
I don't know. Do you guys got any more names left?
Do you have any? Throw out one more.
All
I feel
right.
like Kenneth Grant's like, I wouldn't be like, what the hell? Because it's somebody I've actually watched a little bit. So I wouldn't be like, damn, that sucks. We wasted a pick because we do need a big body. So
Okay, so I do have one. I kind of already know where Chris is leaning to because we've already talked about him a little bit. But this is the beautiful thing about the discussion we're having is it kind of plays into some points that we've already made. And I think if I'm the Arizona Cardinals or if I'm the GM making this pick, it's because I think this team is within 3 years of possibly winning a Lombardi trophy. And this is where I would take that pick. The concerns, and it sounds like they're concerns with his long-term knee as well, Chris. I think you had said the shoulder, but Will Johnson, the Michigan cornerback, man. Anytime a guy makes a play on the biggest stage, and he picked off Mykel Penix Jr. in that 2024 national championship, you catch my eye, man. And he's a big, big corner, 6'2", 203 pounds. He is just fluid on the field. He's a ball hawk. He's instinctive. He really is just the premier package when it comes down to what you want in a corner, man. But yeah, the big issues now are, a lot of people are pinpointing the long-term health. They're saying it shouldn't affect him short-term. Like, he'll be able to play next year, probably for the first 2-3 years, but it's more degenerative they're worried about. So he can just be like a flash in the pan and not be around for very long. But the reason I had him on my list was because thinking that this team is building to win and win now, this is a guy that you can bring in to be an almost day one starter. Matt, I think you might have said something about that. You can get Sean Murphy-Bunting off the field a little bit more, and you don't have to put Max Melton on one of the outside positions where he is really going to thrive playing that, slot corner position. And I think that's where Max Melton needs to continue to develop. So a couple of these guys, my choices are to fill out rooms that are already, have success, but start, pins and growing a little bit more. Or having backups, man. That's what you need in this league. But I don't know. The injury concerns are really throwing a wrench in this one for a lot of people. So, like I said, I think Chris, am I right here?
Yeah, I see the intrigue, and you do make a good case. And it's funny, I did say shoulder. My digital notes said shoulder. My physical notes on my desk said knee. So I think it is a knee.
Okay.
I think that's his only concern. I think his shoulders are fine. But one thing I think, aside from, because that medical stuff can be a draft subterfuge or whatever you want to call it. I'll give you a positive thing on one hand and a negative on the other. The positive being is the Cardinals did meet with Will Johnson. And as you said, this is a guy who can come in, play right away, and probably have an impact in a room that needs some help. So that's a positive. The negative for me is he did not run the 40-yard dash at the combine. And for a position like that, once you don't have your legs, if you don't have a knee, if you have any lower body injury as a corner, you're done. You're done in this league. And that's why that's a position, especially that doesn't see a lot of guys over the age of like 32 playing it, is because once you get a step slow, you're done and you're not of use anymore. So I think you do make a strong case though for, get him while he's young, get him while he's hot, you use him to the fullest extent on his rookie contract. And as that knee starts to deteriorate, you move on and cut your losses. But I guess that lends to the debate of, like I said earlier, we need to start to win now. So that on one hand, yeah, we win now, but also you also want to make sure you're setting yourself up and your team up for long-term success. So I'm a bit on the fence. He is projected high, first round pick for sure, top 15 in most mocks. I guess I'll let Matt be the deciding factor here. How about that?
I mean, to wear number 2 at Michigan as a defensive back, dude, you're the man. Like, you're the dude. The only other one that I can really think of was the great Charles Woodson that wore 2. It's like wearing number 7 at like LSU, dude. You wear number 7, like you're the guy. Like Patrick Peterson wore 7. I'm pretty sure Tyrann Mathieu wore 7 when he was at LSU. Like 2 as a defensive back is a big deal. It's like, and the injury thing, I get it. Definitely. I think it was his foot, if I remember, but he also got injured at the beginning of 2023 and then missed time in 2023 and then came back and then played, or it might be backwards. He might have got hurt and then came back for the national championship, but he was the MVP in the national championship game. I think he had 5 tackles and that awesome interception that Mr. Benjamin alluded to. It was probably the second greatest thing I got to watch as a sports fan, was watching Michigan win a national championship. But it's warranted concern is what I would say to people. Like, I get it, definitely, but he's so talented. He's like 6'2". He's a lengthy dude. He's not a very small corner. He's pretty agile. He covers really well. I know him not running the 40 kind of stinks, but people said Jerry Rice's 40-yard dash was slow, and he used to say, "Did you ever see me get tackled from behind?" It's like there's speed for sure, but then there's football speed. The dude's got football speed. I've seen him play. I've watched him. I think he's been a 3-year starter for Michigan, or at least 2 for sure, when he wasn't dealing with a foot injury and lower leg. I think it was like a calf and foot. It was his legs for sure. I wouldn't be mad, dude. Another one. It'd be one of those things if we didn't get homeboy from Texas and he was there and we got him, I wouldn't be mad at all. I would definitely be like, hell yeah, because he can play that lockdown. He's a long body. He can cover people like flies on shit. Yeah, that'd be cool, dude. It'd be cool to have a Michigan boy on the Cardinals. I wouldn't be mad.
So then the question, I guess, now is at number 5 for the VSP 5, which Michigan man do we go with? Is it Will Johnson, the cornerback, or Kenneth Grant, the D lineman?
Hey, this is a good position to be in, though, Matt, as a Michigan man.
True.
Like it.
No, I would just say for what Will Johnson gave to me, for what he gave to me as a college sports fan. Yeah,
So Matt's it's locked in. Matt's going
locked. I'd go corner. I'd go corner over defensive tackle because I feel like we've addressed the edge a little bit better than we've addressed actually coverage downfield. I like Garrett Williams. I don't want Max Melton or whatever the fuck to be my second. I can't deal with that. I can't have Melton be.
But then you got to remember, you got Starling Thomas, the 5th as well. I mean,
that dude's awesome. I do love that guy.
The corner room is young and solid, but that's why I don't mind bringing in young talent as well. Chris, I'm going to make you choose. I'm going to go with Kenneth because, once again, I'm going back to my emotional damage from the ineptitude of the front seven to get any pressure on quarterbacks. I just want as many people in this room as possible. So I'm going with Kenneth Grant. So you get to make the choice, my man.
Wouldn't be mad either way.
Yeah, no, it's honestly, it's a good position to be in. And I think no matter who the Cardinals end up taking at 16, it is going to be a good player and someone that we'll see suit up and contribute on this team. Man, I really like Kenneth Grant. He has good size. He has a clear medical history. Some of the concerns are that he was only a 1-year starter in college, but honestly, that means for me, low miles to go along with that clean medical history. I think with Will Johnson, the concerns are higher or greater, and not running the 40 as a player. I hear what you're saying, Matt. There's football speed is different, but come on, man. You're a young guy. You're at a position that relies on speed to some extent. I need you to run the 40. I need you to run the 40. Especially that would be an easy way to silence anybody who had concerns about your knee injury and your knee history. Now, if he was injured and that's why he couldn't run the 40, I guess that's a different story. I didn't hear that was the case though. But I guess with that being said, my tiebreaker vote is Kenneth Grant for number 5 on the VSP 5.
Kenneth, come on home. Yeah. At least we got, well, man, I feel like I did pretty good. I got four of the 5 guys that we had in the VSP 5, and one of them was in the last kind of ditch effort to make the 5. So, hey,
pretty good.
I don't mind that list.
Yeah. Quick note. He didn't run it because of turf toe.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, yeah. Just like Bradley Beal didn't play because of.
Well, he missed the last 6 games because of turf toe.
So
Bradley Beal.
You're saying
Bradley Beal.
Wait, so this
is the football version of Brad, where he's going to have just injuries upon injuries of random shit, is what you're saying. All right. I think we made the right choice, Chris.
Yeah, that even made my case even more. You already missed the last 6 weeks of the season with turf toe, which ended like 3-4 months ago. Yeah, get out of here. Get out of here. That dude's going to slide. Anyway, I think we've done a pretty good job. I think we've done a pretty good job of talking Cardinals draft strategy and kind of our wish list. That was kind of all encompassing. So we'll hold off on any further talk about that. But I think before we do get out of here, there's just 1 or 2 more odds and ends we got to get to. And of course, we have to ask ourselves the Cam Skattebo question. Right now, he's projected to be a late 3rd round, possibly 4th round or compensatory pick. A lot of people would like to see him in a Cardinals jersey. I'm sure they would sell a lot of those, have a lot of people rooting for the young guy. You bring him into a pretty decent running back room with James Conner and Trey Benson. But I think for me, that's why I think I'll just come out the gate and say, I think the Cardinals are going to probably not do this unless they can really get a good value for him, because they do really like Trey Benson, and he did step up and have some big plays last year. Now, I'm one who's always expressed concern of James Conner's health, but last season he was really healthy. I think he only missed 1 game, if that. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you want to see Scat come home and play for the Cards?
Man, this is one of those tough scenarios, because I think this kind of player, especially staying in the Valley, would just give the fan base an immense amount of juice. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're talking about more fans coming to the stadium, guys. We're not talking about 70, 80, 20 splits when the Chicago Bears come in. Okay, it'll still be probably like 65, 35, but this is a hometown guy who is just an absolute animal and did it on every level. Dude, I mean, it would be awesome. But Chris, I think you really pointed it perfectly. The Cardinals really like Trey Benson. I mean, they drafted him in the 2nd round last year. He did have a real slow start, and it didn't seem like he really found a rhythm within the offense overall. But that can really be looked at as because James Conner was having a hell of a season. And when a guy is on fire like that, you can't take him off the field a lot, right? And you know, knock on wood, James Conner was healthy last year, and you're hopeful that he can do it again, especially with the extension. But yeah, you know, what do the Cardinals have? Pick 71, I think, in the 3rd round. I think that's too rich for my blood, taking Cam Skattebo, even though a lot of people are now, you know, projecting him higher. as high as third round, right? He's been linked to a bunch of places, Pittsburgh, the Chargers, Denver. We obviously see he had his top 30 visits with Cleveland, the Giants, and us. I've also seen some new mocks, seeing him go to Cincinnati. I honestly, if he would go to Cincinnati, I would get a Cam Skattebo jersey, guys. And then, of course, another quiet team that has been linked to Cam Skattebo at this point is the Kansas City Chiefs. That would probably be the last place that I would want him to go. I think it only makes sense for the Arizona Cardinals if they were to go Cam Skattebo. You're talking about trade backs. You're talking about garnering extra picks, or he's dropping to the fourth round. I think I would be okay if they spent that capital on the fourth round for Cam Skattebo. But anything earlier than that, this team still has needs to address. And running back position is just not one of them right now. So that's where I'm headed.
Yeah, Mike, you made a great case. Honestly, I'm right aligned with your thinking there. Matt, are you feeling the same way, or do you think it's worth it for the fan base side of it?
Hell no. God no. Dude, he had one good season for us. I loved it. It was awesome. Dude, what do you think Jaguars fans who are like anybody that was a fan of Tim Tebow and he came out of Florida, what do you think? Dude, it would be awesome to get him. Like it would. I don't see where he would fit. The story is awesome. The Cinderella story is great. I love this kid. I think he's his acting sucks because he does the lifted trucks commercial. Not a very good. I have a lifted truck. It's like, dude, you look tiny. I love how they like the angle. He's a little dude. The story's great. He lit the Valley on fire, dude. It was so much fun. He made ASU football nationally relevant again. People were reading about his tweets and stuff. Like, would it be sick if we picked him in the third round? I'd be pissed, like you said. If it was like if he somehow fell like the fifth round and he was there, I don't think all day get the kid. But I don't think justifiably. I don't know how we would plug him in. We already have our third running back with Mykel Carter when he comes in and out. I don't know if he's even going to be around the Cardinals, but I think Trey Benson takes a big step forward this season. I think they start to utilize him a little bit better because he has such a complementary aspect to Connor's game to where he can do the bleeding out of the backfield. He did it a lot in college, dude. So he can do a lot of the receiving, the cool screens. I know James Conner can too, but he also can run it downhill for 10 yards. I'd rather see him do that than a screen and get his knee blown out by somebody. It's just the story. Don't go to Kansas City, please, God. I don't want to hate the kid, so don't go to Kansas City. But if he did go to the Bengals, that'd be cool. The Giants, I see it says the Giants there. I wouldn't mind that either, dude, because you're going to get to see him. He's going to get a chance to play if he's on a team like the Giants, not the Browns. They just go and ruin people's lives. The Giants might still too, but I don't see where he comes in and we get to actually see him. I want to see the kid play in the NFL because I want him to prove everybody wrong. Because I do think he's one of the more fit outside of Jeanty. It's him for me as far as physical, just mean north-south runners. Not on the Cardinals. Go to the Bengals. Play with Joe Burrow. Dude, it'd be really cool, man. If he was on the Bengals, I'd like to see the kid do really good. That's all I'm going to say. I just don't know where it happens for the Cardinals.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt in my mind Cam Skattebo is going to get drafted, probably going to be within the first 4 rounds. I could say that confidently for sure. I don't want to see the Cardinals reach on him just for the sake of the fan base calling for him to be drafted. Those who may be lesser informed or calling for this out of their heart. I don't want to call anyone dumb or that they don't know, because I'm not even a draft expert here. I don't know. But I think a lot of people, it tugs on the heartstrings. They want Cam Skattebo because of what he just did for ASU and not necessarily looking at the big picture of us already having James Conner and Trey Benson. So if you stick him in that room, draft him, you might not even see much Cam Skattebo this season, if we're being completely and entirely honest. And if we do see a lot of Cam Skattebo, it means we have bigger problems, which it would be James Conner being on the IR. So you gotta pick your poison here. But I think like I mentioned, I'm going to start doing a yearly conspiracy theory. It wasn't intentional. It's just something I've been reading. I've been seeing some tweets here and there. Like I mentioned last year, my theory was that Austin Fort would trade a bunch of picks. Maybe that was just me being bitter, but he did draft them. So I was wrong. And maybe I'm going to be wrong again. But guys, as you guys know, anybody who is listened to Valley Sports Plug long enough knows that I was born and raised to be a Steelers fan. Now my allegiance has changed. Steelers have taken a massive back burner as far as my fandom. Don't really keep up too much with what they're doing. My family, my brother specifically, is still really into it. Me, not so much. But this conspiracy theory ties into the Steelers and the division that the Cardinals play in. I could see, I'm just going to come out and say it. There's talk of, and I could see the Steelers trading TJ Watt to San Francisco for Brock Purdy. Now, hear me out. TJ Watt is becoming disillusioned a little bit with Pittsburgh, expecting a big payday. They might not want to pay him. Steelers need a quarterback. They got Mason Rudolph and pretty much nobody else. They let Justin Fields go. They let Russell Wilson go. They thought they were going to get Aaron Rodgers, but with some of the recent comments he's made lately, it doesn't really seem like he's too interested in playing football. Honestly, not sure if they're going to want that old man trying to lead the charge. You don't go out and get a guy like DK Metcalf and have George Pickens to not bring in a quarterback to do some justice. Brock Purdy has not signed an extension yet with the San Francisco 49ers. Now, latest reports within the last day or so says that he says the negotiations are going well, but Brock Purdy is a businessman. He's media trained. He's going to say the right things. He's going to make everyone happy at the end of the day. Like I said, I think there's going to be some moves on draft day. Some teams are going to make trades. I think this could be part of it because there's a guy, great football name for a quarterback, Jackson Dart, that I think if the Steelers don't make that trade, they could look at him. But is that conspiracy theory just way too far out there? TJ Watt for Brock Purdy?
No, especially if the negotiations with Brock have not been completed yet. I mean, it's been a couple of months now. What, month and a half at this point? I know he's trying to figure out where's the perfect position for him to get paid, but them to rebuild their roster because they've lost some talent and they've moved some guys away and guys are getting hurt. Obviously, you talk about Christian McCaffrey. I don't think he's going to be the same player anymore. They've lost guys on the defensive end as well. They shipped out Debo to Washington. I hate this, Chris. TJ Watt is probably the best defensive player in the NFL. Him going to any of the NFC West teams, shoot me in the foot right now. Like, hell no. I would be totally fine with Brock Purdy getting a massive extension for $52 million or something like that a year. Because then you know what that means? That's going to handcuff the 49ers to what they're going to be able to build around him. And I think we kind of know at this point, Brock Purdy is a pro. He's one of the better quarterbacks in this league. But can he do it himself? And I don't know if he has the capability to do that. I know one person would say differently, and he's across the pond right now in VSP Tallman. But yeah, I want San Francisco to throw all the money at Brock Purdy and him be in San Francisco for the next 6 to 7 years. Because if he's the guy, like, a tough time bringing in other talent either than drafting and picking properly. But if TJ Watt was to go to San Francisco, I think I might vomit. Because, good Lord, how does it seem like the guys that fall 1 year come back the next and just get richer somehow with things like being handed into their lap? I think about different sport. The Lakers getting Luka Doncic. Like, you got to be kidding me with this crap, man. No. This is the worst conspiracy theory that you've brought up, Chris. Maybe you should already cancel this, because if you're going to be bringing this BS into the universe, I'm not having it, man.
Hey, look, I'm not saying I want it to happen. I mean, it would honestly be, it would be a much better trade for the 49ers, in my opinion, because like that article I briefly brought up said, a lot of people have downplayed Brock Purdy's success we've even on this podcast, some of us have labeled him a game manager. VSP Tallman loves him some Brock Purdy, real nice guy. But if Kyle Shanahan is such an offensive guru with Christian McCaffrey and these other weapons, the running theory is you can put just about any quarterback in that system and he's going to find success. So if you can get a perennial Pro Bowler in TJ Watt, always top 5 in sacks every single season, that's a guy I don't want the Cardinals to play twice a season. That is for sure. But I know this was the Power Hour, and we've gone a little over an hour and a half. So I think we start to wind this one down. But Mr. T Jr., our lone Tallman, I want to pass it over to you first for any of your last thoughts and what your wish list is for the Arizona Cardinals this Thursday.
Dear Lord, I don't ask for much. I really don't. I just ask for you to give me a defensive player. Somebody good, somebody that can cover, somebody that's fast. That's it. No, I don't know, man. Oh gosh, I hope we don't trade. I don't want us to trade back. That's the one thing I wish for is don't trade back. Let's look at the best available because we have many needs. It's not like we need just a quarterback or we need defensive backs. We need to get depth. And we need to we're having too many players is a problem. All right. Or having too many good players. I just want to see us do that. My one thing I'm going to ask you guys though here with MFC's or Chris Patrick's, I know MFC old school right there. With your theory, TJ Watt's under contract for one more season. So regardless, the 49ers would have to pay them. Would you rather pay TJ Watt $35 million a year or would you rather pay Brock Purdy $40?
Oh, that's a question. I mean, so you're asking me if I'm the 49ers, which
if you're the 49ers.
If I'm the 49ers?
Yeah, because the 49ers, that's the big thing is they're like, well, we don't want to pay him. We can kind of get anybody. Maybe we go get somebody in the draft, like because you can't. Kyle Shanahan's a quarterback guru. His system's great, whatever the heck. Yeah, I mean that when you were saying it's a great dude, it would ruin the fucking Steelers and it would kill me as a Cardinals fan. But I feel like it's more plausible than the Kyler Murray to the Steelers that you were talking like 2 months ago, which made me angry. Don't ever say that.
Hey,
yeah, no.
People on the internet are gonna cook up crazy trades. Like with the Suns, they're talking about KD for Zion, and that makes me want to throw up all over my desk right here. That's not.
You wouldn't want to do that?
No.
Why not?
No. Absolutely, dude. Zion and Bradley Beal can
another
run the bench
Bradley
together?
Beal, Matt. Another Bradley Beal.
True.
Even worse than Bradley Beal with his injury history.
At
least Bradley Beal seems like a smart guy. Zion just seems like a complete idiot. But I don't want to get sidetracked. We're talking about football.
No, yeah, you're good. No, excited for Thursday, dude. I can't wait to hear that thing. I can't wait for them to boo the fuck out of Goodell.
Yeah, happens every year, baby.
It's just I'm excited for them to do the stupid little things where the players, old school players, come up and draft for the teams. Man, you can smell it, you can feel it, and then it goes through the drought, and then we have football back. So Thursday we get a little taste. We get to watch YouTube videos of all the people that are under sexual assault allegations, and we wish we could draft, but we can't touch. And hopefully we get something cool on Thursday, boys.
Mr. T Jr., always appreciate you, man. Yeah, I think Patrick Peterson is announcing the day 2 picks for us.
Is he? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So we got some legends in the building. All right, I'll rip through this really quick. My wish list, because obviously we have, I think, 6 picks. You got to get somebody on the offensive line in here. You got to still address the defensive line. I need another edge rusher. I need a defensive tackle. Defensive tackle, nose tackle. I need a corner. I need to start building these rooms that are good or have bodies now and put them in the fire and see who comes out on top. Competition is key for this Arizona Cardinals team moving forward. It can't just be, here's this silver lane, here's the yellow brick road for you to just do whatever you want because we don't have anybody else to come and take your spot. No, we're building a good football team, and the cream will rise to the top. So I have faith in Monty Austinfort and Jonathan Gannon that no matter what we go with, specifically in the first round at pick 16, they're going to get a good player that's going to be a contributor for this team, hopefully years to come. But man, Thursday can't come soon enough, gentlemen. Chris, Mr. T Jr., appreciate you guys as always.
Oh yeah, I love being here with you fellas. Thank you, Mr. T. Thank you, Mr. Benjamin. I will share my quick wish list. You guys kind of nailed it, and I'm aligned with both of you. I just want them to not overthink it. Just take the best available players. Look at who you need. You have your draft board. You've met with these guys. I know wide receivers have a high bust rate coming out of college and into the NFL. But I think you need, like Mike said, you need some competition in these rooms. Get a wide receiver, get a corner, and get an offensive lineman. Those are my big ones. And an edge rusher. Honestly, another edge rusher, why not? It wouldn't hurt. Get some competition in that room. There's a bunch of veterans. So if you get a young edge rusher that can learn and absorb the knowledge of these guys, even better. But moral of the story, like I said, do not overthink it. Yeah, really excited. Every year, it's like when the NFL season ends, I look at the calendar. I'm like, when is the draft? I'm like, it's so far away. And then next thing I know, I'm texting you guys and asking you when we're going to hop on this stream and talk about it. So we are just 2 days away, and I'll be watching. I'll be watching on Thursday evening for sure. And we'll see if the VSP 5 hit, if they take one of the 5 guys that we identified. But you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you've made it an hour and 46 minutes into this video, you're a real one. If you don't already, for whatever reason, go over to YouTube, follow us, Valley Sports Plug on YouTube, like and subscribe at AZ_VSP on Instagram, X, TikTok, and Valley Sports Plug on Facebook. So you can stay up to date on all the Arizona Cardinals and Valley Sports action. But for Mr. T Jr. and Mr. Benjamin, I'm Chris Patrick, and we'll see you next time. Peace.